Welcome back to Wellness Wave Radio. Thanks for tuning in this morning to ride the wave with us. Each week our goal is to give you at least one suggestion that will make your life a little better. My name is Phil George. I'm a clinical biochemist, a certified personal trainer, and a health coach. Please remember that everything we discuss on the show is for informational purposes and should not be taken as medical advice. Always seek the guidance of your doctor. Okay, Art. Oh, and here's the health disclaimer there, and there I am again. Okay, what's the next one, Art? Okay, well, Art's getting that up. This is actually going to be the second part of a two-part of 50 Years of Madness. So you can watch the first part, obviously it was right before this. That'll also be on YouTube. So we're going to do the second part now. And really what it comes down to is that, here we go. So I'll let you know, so I belong to these groups, Nutrition Coalition, Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners, and Root Cause Protocol. Next one, Art. Okay, I'm also on Dream Vision 7. This actually is an international media company. All my shows, including this one, is ported over to there, and this is put also on YouTube. So if you just type in Wellness Wave Radio on YouTube, all of these shows will pop up. Okay, I want to mention we had a really successful health seminar. So we have another health seminar coming up Sunday, June 29, 10 to 11:30, and that's in West Boylston, a Route 12 Pickle. If you email me, philgeorge@charter.net, or what we're doing, we run it like a game show. In other words, we give out prizes and things like this. We have one of our sponsors is New Kitchen. So if you email me, philgeorge@charter.net, and you come to the seminar, we'll actually give you a gift card for New Kitchen, just as an incentive to show up. If you bring somebody with you, okay, we'll give them one too. This is only for new people coming in, not for people that have already been to the seminars. So I'll send you the information. I've teamed up with Kelly Hamilton. She's a ICU nurse at UMass. She's also a certified nutritionist. So you get two people. The seminar went really, really well in that we did it for the hour. A lot of people hung around afterwards. Again, the way we run it, we give out coins and we ask questions, and whoever gets the most coins, we have like the old carnival days. We have a whole bunch of prizes behind us. You get to pick which prize you want. And again, we have gift certificates. We have all kinds of neat stuff. It's kind of fun. People get involved. We ask them a lot of questions. You get a chance to jump in. The other thing is actually Kelly and I hung around almost an hour afterwards because so many people hung around afterwards to basically, just from health advice. So good chance you get, I consider two experts. I'm a biochemist. Kelly's an ICU nurse. She's got a lot of clinical experience. So you get two for the price of one. Okay, what's the next one, Art? This is a famous Hippocrates. Hippocrates is the father of medicine. He says, "Let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food." So I think this really plays well even to this day. Okay, next one, Art. There's a recurring theme in health, and what I found is, in fact, some of the people that are most passionate about this have gone through a terrible health journey on their own. They've come down with all these diseases, and allopathic, which means Western medicine, they couldn't fix it. And what happened is they had to find their own way around it. I've had several health challenges myself. I'll go over a little bit later on. And it wasn't able to be cured by allopathic medicine. I was able to actually figure it out on my own. And this is not myself. A lot of other people have done it. I've had people on my show that have had awful health challenges and were able to reverse them. Okay, next one, Art. Here's a good one. This is Dr. Terry Wahls. Now, Dr. Terry Wahls actually wrote a really famous book called The Wahls Protocol. So she was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and she went from riding a bike 18 miles to basically being in a wheelchair. They told Dr. Wahls that she would never be able to walk again. She'd have to. She was a researcher, and she's an MD. She's a physician. Now, she has access to the greatest minds in medicine. In other words, they wouldn't even return my call, anybody's call, but she had access to all the best minds, the latest technology that they had in Western medicine. and they couldn't fix her. And so what Dr. Walls said is that what she did is she turned around, and if you go back to that picture art with Terry, you can show one in the corner. No, back, one slide back. No, going the wrong way. You're going the wrong way. Go back to there. No, one before that. Oh, there you go. Upper left-hand corner. She back in October of 2007. She was in a wheelchair. By a year later, she was out riding a bike, and she's fine now. She was able to reverse this through diet. So if you have somebody, God forbid, with MS, or you've done with MS, I really, I'll be happy to work with you. But she's the expert on this. She reversed her multiple sclerosis. I mean, that's freaking incredible. That's a very, very serious disease. And again, she had access to the greatest minds in Western medicine, and she was able to do it. Came up with her own protocol. Okay, the next one, Art. Here's a really good one. This is Dr. Mary Newport. She is what's called a neonatal pediatrician. Means she's a physician, and she deals with babies, with premature babies. So she's got a lot of medical background. Her husband, who is an accountant, again, that's her husband next to her there. She started to notice he started slipping. He started coming down with dementia and eventually Alzheimer's. And so, again, she had access to all the great minds in the world. They just said, too bad, we don't know what we can do with him. So what she did with Dr. Walls, at the time, there was what they call a pilot study going on for Alzheimer's. They were trying to reverse it. So if they have studies, you can apply for a study, the research study. It's experimental, so you got to sign off all these waivers and stuff. But they went in, but that there's something called not a Newport score. I forget the name of it. Anyway, they give you it's called a Montreal assessment test. What they do is they give you a bunch of tests to see how far you are gone with the dementia, Alzheimer's. So in order, let's just say it's from 1 to 10. Those numbers aren't correct, but let's say 10 is the worst. Let's say 10 is the worst and 1 is the best, and 5 is in the middle. So in order to be access to this particular study, you had to be like at least in the middle. Her husband was worse than that, so they did not accept him into the study. But she's a researcher, so she went in and she looked to see exactly what they were using for the study, and she found out it was something called MCT oil, which stands for medium chain triglycerides. Not to get too technical, but all that means is coconut oil. Basically, it's called the medium chain triglyceride. One of them that they were using is called caprylic acid. So I think I could be wrong on this. I think in terms of medium chain triglycerides, I think there are 12. I could be wrong on that. I have to look it up. 10, 12, somewhere in that range. So basically, C8, they found it to be the most efficacious in terms of reversing Alzheimer's and dementia. In fact, I get a story about this later on. I had, when you come to the seminar, again, email me, phil.george@charter.net. If you come to the seminar, I have bottles of this. My sister, who is got a master's degree in nursing, she loves this stuff. She puts it in her coffee and put it in your salad. Even if you don't have dementia, what you can do is you can just take it. It'll help with your cognition. Because what happens is now they're calling type 2, they're calling Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes because it's related to insulin resistance in the brain. So you don't have to rely on sugar. The MCT, specifically called butyrate, goes into the brain. You don't need sugar, and the brain can burn a lot cleaner. It's like a cleaner fuel. It's like a Prius, burning the dirty gas or electricity. So your brain is burning the clean fuel. So that was real popular. This MCT, I've got jars of it, and we were giving that out as prizes. So a lot of people took that as prizes. So it's a way to keep you sharp with this MCT. So let me just back up. Actually, I had my in-laws live with us for a while, and they had some dementia, and I specifically had the aides. We had aides at the house put in this MCT into various foods they were eating, and the aides noticed a big difference in terms of cognition with my in-laws. In fact, they liked it so much they were buying it from me for their parents. the head, the medical director for this particular home health agency, she contacted me and she took it. So it's kind of like they call a small study. There's more than I didn't do a study, I just did it because I knew it would work. So again, if you want to email me, philgeorge@charter.net, basically I can let you know where to get this. This stuff is good. It's made in America. It's a good thing to use to keep your brain sharp. Getting back to Dr. Mary Newport, so what happened is, and what she did is, she started giving him basically this caprylic acid, this C8, and she noticed a big improvement. So what happened is, what they did is they turned around and they went back into the study. And he was in there. Actually, he messed up the study because what they do, it's called a double-blind placebo trial. And what they'll do is they have some people that take the drug, or in this case the nutrition. Other people don't take it, and they compare it. It turns out that Dr. Newport's husband actually did extremely well, and he wasn't taking anything, but she kept him on the MCT oil. So this is a good example of something you can learn on your own. And again, these people are researchers, and I'm a biochemist, so I kind of know where to look at it. The average person doesn't know what to look at. They'll just go with whatever the allopathic medicine, Western medicine tells them. But a lot of times there are a lot of things you can do. The other big one, there was a famous movie called Lorenzo's Oil, where again they think they had a kid where the kid basically couldn't cure him with Western medicine, and they developed this oil, and the oil basically turned around and actually it made their child better. So there's a lot of things out there. The other one, there's something called drug resistance epilepsy, and there's a really famous movie with Meryl Streep in it called First Do No Harm. It's on Netflix. You can check it out. Their son was having seizure after seizure after seizure, and they couldn't do anything for him. And they found out again to do it, put him on what's called a metabolic ketogenic diet. They were able to get his seizures under control. There's a whole movie about it. In fact, they think they call it the Charlie Foundation, and they specifically have people in terms of seizures. Where they're able to get them off it. So it's called the ketogenic diet, but this MCT is a part of the whole thing. Okay, Art, the next one. Okay, here's my story. So I had what's called severe arrhythmias, where all of a sudden I'd be in bed at night, and my heart was jumping out of my chest. I saw. Let me see. I got my little thing here. I got to look at here. So I saw 2 arrhythmia specialists, and they suggested what's called a cardiac ablation. Now, what a cardiac ablation is, what it does is they go in there, they go into your heart, and they burn out part of it. And because what happens is your heart is basically an electrical pump, and it's not beating correctly. So they try to give it a different pathway for the electrons to go through on your heart. So they burn out your your heart muscle. I looked this up. And according to the Mayo Clinic, 74% of cardiac ablations were successful, 15 were partially successful, and about 10% were unsuccessful. So I didn't like those odds, because what happens with the heart, if you burn out heart muscle, if any of us have had a heart attack and the heart dies, that heart's not coming back. The heart doesn't regenerate. It doesn't regenerate cells. So if you got a 30% heart attack and you damage 30% of your muscle, you're only working on 70% of heart. 50%, in other words, your heart is not working as very well. So they burn it away. So a lot of times, at least 10%, you have to go back and have more of it burned out, because you have to figure out what the signal is going through your heart. So I didn't like those odds. So what I did is I wound up curing my arrhythmia through magnesium. And the way I did it, I started doing, when I saw the arrhythmia specialist, and they said to me, well, I didn't want to do that. I did some research, and I found out that in fact, Kelly, the ICU nurse, the seminar with me, Kelly Hamilton, you have something in a hospital called the crash cart. And Kelly deals with this all the time. And when I was in the hospital, I dealt with this too. When they call up a crash cart, they called it a code blue. You go code blue and they get the crash cart. Everybody runs to the person's bed, and they either they'll start doing compressions into the heart, or they'll start doing they'll shock the heart to try to get it out of the arrhythmias. But one of the things they do, they put an IV in you, and they put in what they call IV magnesium. So as I mentioned to you, your heart is an electrical pump. So a magnesium acts as an electrode. Okay. So what happens is you need potassium in your heart, you need magnesium in your heart. So they found out, even without going through the crash cart, if a person goes into arrhythmia, they'll put an IV in you, and they'll inject IV magnesium into you. So the IV magnesium can get you out of that arrhythmia. So I think it's 40% of the population is magnesium deficient. Magnesium is a whole show unto itself. It gets complicated. There's all different kinds of magnesium. Feel free to email me, philgeorge@charter.net. You want the right kind of magnesium, because there's something called magnesium oxide. If you take magnesium oxide, it can cause a lot of loose stools, and it's not really absorbed very well. So you want the right kind of magnesium, and I can help you with that. Again, philgeorge@charter.net. So I looked up, and I wasn't a good boy back then. I wasn't taking all my supplements, and I figured I could be magnesium deficient. Sure enough, I turned around, I started taking a lot of magnesium. It's water soluble, it's almost impossible to overdose on. And so the problem with, and what happened was I got myself out of the arrhythmias, and I didn't need the ablation. So again, I did that. So if you have a lot of arrhythmias, you may want to look into that. This is not medical advice, but I'm just saying it worked for me. The other thing again with magnesium, it does a bunch of other really good things for you. So again, email me. I'll get you the right kind of magnesium. In fact, if you're constipated, the magnesium citrate is really going to help you. That's what they give you. That's what they give you before a colonoscopy. A lot of it, and if you ever had a prep for colonoscopy, you're pooping all the time. This will help you. We don't have to take laxatives and stuff like that. A lot of times, the right form of magnesium will take care of that for you. So again, email me, philgeorge@charter.net, if you have any questions about that. Okay, next one, Art. Okay, so health is like money. We never have a true idea of its value until we lose it. A lot of people say once they have a terrible medical condition and they cure it, their health means so much more to them. So it's like anything else. You don't know what it's like until you lose it. If you had a good girlfriend, good boyfriend, and you lost them, you know what that means. So you got to take care of your health. So hopefully I can help you do that. Okay, next one, Art. Okay, so all the money in the world can't buy you good health. We talked about that. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That's Benjamin Franklin. So again, we have to start in this soon. Don't wait until you're sick. Okay, if you start coming down with something, you start seeing going wrong, contact me, philgeorge@charter.net. We can work together and hopefully get you back into good health. Okay, so this is something I talked about in the first half of this. It's something called autophagy. They won the Nobel Prize for this in 2016. It's a fancy word. It's a Greek word. Auto means self, and phagi means eat. So self-eating. So if you go into that, we talked about the intermittent fasting, time-restricted eating. If you watch the first part of this, you want to go about 12 hours without eating. When that happens, what happens is, I talked before about the fat switch, the AMPK. So the AMPK is switched on, and what it does is it starts triggering burning your own fat. And there we go over there. Let me look at that slide. So what happens, the left side you can see, your body's a way of cleansing itself. It's a biological process that removes body accumulation toxins and recycles damaged cell components. So again, the AMPK kicks in, you're starving, and then the autophagy says, why don't you eat your old proteins and your organelles? So what it does is it basically, like recycling, it recycles all your organs. It takes all the damaged parts, takes them apart, and puts them into new things and kind of recycles them. The ones that they can't sell, they can't salvage. What they'll do is they'll get rid of it, and then they'll replace it with healthy. Okay, Art. So we've got, so we talked before about the anabolism, where we're feeding and we're building, or the catabolism. So when you're in the fed state, it's increasing your insulin, your blood sugar, it decreases your ketones. Remember, ketones is what you want burning, ketogenic diet, and it decreases your metabolic rate. And so what happens when you go into the fasting state, your storage forms of glycogen in your liver, we talked about that, this goes down. It takes your fat away. So the catabolism is the autophagy, the glyconeogenesis, glycogenal, forget about it, and the lipolysis. So you want to be more into the fasting state, or not eating for a period of time. So next one, Art. So you want autophagy. The benefits of autophagy and how it stimulates data for health and longevity. When the body eats and recycles its own damaged cells and toxins. So again, it's a cleanup. You're going in there and you're cleaning up your body. So that's what autophagy does. Again, you have to be at least 11 or 12 hours. Okay, this is from an electron microscope. So this actually is a real picture. You have something in your body. This actually is a medical term. It's called again, autophagy. These are what they call natural killer cells. So if you see that big yellow thing in the middle there, what that is, that's a cancer cell, and all of those little things coming off, it's trying to get what they call vascularized. It's trying to get in and get more and more blood to feed it to get bigger and bigger. That's called that's again, you don't want that. So you see these little cells going around it, they're going to kill it. But the only way you can kill cancer cells is if you're in the catabolic state. Because what happens, remember, the AMPK shuts off and it goes into cleanup. We produce cancer cells every single second. We constantly produce cancer cells over and over again. Cancer cells are not a problem. The other thing is all men will die with prostate cancer, not of prostate cancer. All women will die of with breast cancer, but not of breast cancer. In other words, you have cancer cells, but they stay encapsulated, so they don't escape. And what happens is with those big natural killer cells, they go in there and they munch up the cancer cells. You can see that's what you want. But again, if you're in a constant state of anabolism, where you're building, the cancer cells build too. So that's one of the reasons why cancer is going to surpass heart disease pretty soon, because one of the problems is, again, we're eating all the time. You have to be in a state of fasting at some point in time. Okay, so we talked about here. So here we go. So there's two types. This is what they call intermittent fasting. So you have an eating window. You can eat all you want for that 8 hours. So what happens is, so between basically 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. you're fasting. You're not eating anything. You're just drinking water, no calories or anything like that. And you're going to be fasting for at least 12 hours to kick this in, to get into that autophagy state that you want. Okay, next slide, Art. This is a really good slide. If you look at the very top there, so what happens is you're eating so many grams per millimeter, and you see basically the red cell there. So it takes 4 hours to get down in the basically into the when you're just eating normally. But if you see the exogenous or the dietary glucose on the blue one, where you've been fasted, that goes down after only 4 hours. So it's going down really, really fast. And it also shows your liver glycogen is being used up. And what happens is your glucose goes down. So you can see by you being in that fasting state, it drops your blood sugar, your insulin, huge. And then you go into basically after only about, let me see, you're really going into what's called gluconeogenesis pretty quickly. That means where your body is making glucose out of fat. So it shows the tremendous benefit that you're having on that. Okay, next slide, Art. And the other one is what they call intermittent fasting, and that way you eat everything between a certain period of time, let's say between 12 p.m. and 8 p.m., and no calories between 8 p.m. and midnight. And that's okay. So you get into autophagy with that, with the time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting. Again, you don't have to go whole hog into this. You can maybe you can only do it for 8 hours or 6 hours. You just eventually stretch it out. So you try baby steps. Try to go add 15 minutes to that each time. I'm what's called an OMAD, which means I eat one meal a day. So I double. I have intermittent fasting and time-restricted eating. I put them together. So I have no problem with this, just doing it. So I don't eat anything. And so I'm in a ketogenic diet, a ketogenic state for a relatively long period of time. All religions in the world have what they call fasting. You have, the Catholics have it, the Jews have it, the Muslims have it. It's where they go long periods of time without eating. So this goes back, and there's a reason for that. And that's the reason why people were so much healthier back then. They weren't eating. They were not eating nonstop. So it's something relatively easy to do. Again, you have to go crazy with this, like me. A lot of people are OMADs. They do 1 meal a day, but I didn't start off like that. I gradually went down, cut, and then down to 1 meal a day. And I eat. In fact, when I leave here, I'll be home around. This is actually late for me to eat. I'll eat everything between 12 and 1, and then I'm done. I'm done for the day. I don't eat again until the next day. Okay, I know it's been a lot of information, so email me, philgeorge@charter.net. Don't forget, come to the seminar. I go over all of the stuff. Kelly and I hang around we'll talk to you as much as you want. If you want to do a one-on-one consult with me, if you want me to review your lab work, you just email me, philgeorge@charter.net. And if you want anything covered on the show, like a particular topic, I had somebody wanted to know basically in terms of different kinds of health issues. We can do that. So we'll see you next week. Don't forget June 29th, Sunday, 10:30, 11:30. Email me. Come on down, and you can get a chance to win a gift certificate. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. One of the most common questions I'm asked as a biochemist and health coach is, what are the best supplements to take? Choosing supplements is a tricky business. Many companies have poor quality control and questionable ingredients. In the past, I had to send clients to several different websites. I am now able to offer one-stop shopping for all the quality brands I recommend, with no shipping cost and a lower price in most cases. Just email me, philgeorge@charter.net, for a free consult.